I am stardust. The very elements that make up my body are from ancient suns that exploded billions of years ago, only to arrive here on Earth as dust. You are also dust made from ancient stars that exploded billions of years ago. Look, I am talking to you and pleading with you, but I am nothing but dust. How could this be that dust should talk? How could it be that you as dust can listen? We are miraculous. We are God's children. We are God's creation. Listen, if God created us, you must know that He would also talk to us. God talks to those who seek Him, just like the prophets of old that you can find in the Bible and other writings. Know that the prophets left us messages of warnings and of blessings and of good tidings. If we are wise, we must consider what those before us have to say. We are in danger. Look at the world around us. If it's getting darker, it's because the lights are becoming dimmer. Luke 12:35. Be dressed, ready for service, and keep your lamps burning. Zephaniah 1:14 through 15. The great day of the Lord is near and coming quickly. Listen, the cry on the day of the Lord will be bitter, the shouting of the warrior there. The day will be a day of wrath, a day of distress and anguish, a day of trouble and ruin, a day of darkness and gloom, a day of clouds and blackness.
Zephaniah 2:1 through 3. Gather together, O shameful nation. Before the appointed time arrives, and the day sweeps on like chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord comes upon you, before the day of the Lord's wrath comes upon you. Seek the Lord, all you humble of the land, you who do what He commands. Seek righteousness, seek humility. Perhaps you will be sheltered on the day of the Lord's anger. Now, let us consider the story of Jonah and the whale. Remember how Jonah was commanded by God to bring a message of God's wrath to the king of Nineveh?
Jonah 3:6 through 10. When the news reached the king of Nineveh, he rose from his throne, took off his royal robes, covered himself with sackcloth, and sat down in the dust. Then he issued a proclamation in Nineveh. By the decree of the king and his nobles, do not let any man or beast, herd or flock taste anything. Do not let them eat or drink. But let man and beast be covered with sackcloth. Let everyone call urgently on God. Let them give up their evil ways and their violence. Who knows, God may relent and with compassion turn from His fierce anger, so that we will not perish. When God saw what they did, how they turned from their evil ways, He had compassion and did not bring upon them the destruction He had threatened. Fellow humans, I am calling for us to gather as a nation. I call all of us, both Buddhist, Muslim, Jews, Yogi, and Christians. I call all faiths to gather together in reverence to God, just like the ancient city of Nineveh. We must show God we are serious. I ask that everyone take a day out to cry out to God and say sorry. I ask the preachers and ministers to get down off their pulpits for one day. I ask the ministers to spend the night with God in sackcloth and ashes. I ask that the herd animals be released from the slaughterhouses for one day. I ask for everyone to cry and cry some more for mercy. Look around you. Look at the encroaching darkness. The book of Joel tells us exactly how to do this.
Joel 1:13 through 20. Put on sackcloth, O priests, and mourn. Wail, you who minister before the altar. Come spend the night in sackcloth, you who minister before my God. For the grain offerings and drink offerings are withheld from the house of your God. Declare a holy fast, call a sacred assembly. Summon the elders and all who live in the land to the house of the Lord your God, and cry out to the Lord. Alas, for that day, for the day of the Lord is near. It will come like destruction from the Almighty. Has not the food been cut off before your very eyes, joy and gladness from the house of our God? The seeds are shriveled beneath the clods, the storehouses are in ruin, the granaries have been broken down, for the grain has dried up. How the cattle mourn! The herds mill about because they have no pasture. Even the flocks of sheep are suffering. To you, O Lord, I call, for the fire has devoured the open pastures, and flames have burned up all the trees of the field. Even the wild animals pant for you. The streams of water have dried up, and the fire has devoured the open pastures. Joel 2:12 through 18. Even now, declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting, weeping, and mourning. Rend your heart, and not your garments. Return to the Lord your God, for he is gracious and compassionate, slow to anger, and abounding in love, and he relents from sending calamity. Who knows, he may turn and have pity and leave behind a blessing, grain offerings and drink offerings, for the Lord your God. Blow the trumpet in Zion, declare a holy fast, call a sacred assembly. Gather the people, consecrate the assembly. Bring together the elders, gather the children, those nursing at the breast. Let the bridegroom leave his room, and the bride her chamber. Let the priests who minister before the Lord weep between the temple porch and the altar. Let them say, spare your people, O Lord. Do not make your inheritance an object of scorn, a byword among the nations. Why should they say among the peoples, where is their God? Then the Lord will be jealous for his land and take pity on his people. People, my fellow creatures of the dust, I call for a sacred assembly. I call for 10,000 to cry all day. I ask the preachers and ministers to get down off their pulpits for one day. I ask the ministers to spend the night with God in sackcloth and ashes. I ask for the herd animals to be released from the slaughterhouses for one day. I ask for everyone to cry and cry some more for mercy. Look around you. Look at the encroaching darkness. People, my fellow creatures of the dust, oil your lamps, trim your wicks, become lights on a hill for all to see.